So on the 99th episode of WCW Monday Nitro, though the commentators kept saying it was the 100th episode of Nitro, we see Lex Luger take on Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Title about 5 to 6 days before the major pay per view where they will already have to meet. Um, okay, so like it's for the world title, and at this point, Hulk Hogan was really hot. Like he had the NWO, and he was the world champion for 359 days, from what I've gathered from my sources. And also having to count some of the days out, right? Um, the match, okay, like it was probably the last unique match they had until Sting happened because beforehand they just did Rowdy Piper, Rowdy Piper, Rowdy Piper, Rowdy Piper, and occasionally with some other people. I think I don't remember what. I'm still rewatching a lot of episodes of Monday Night Nitro. Um, but it was mostly with Rowdy Piper, and they decided to say, you know what, let's put the hottest guy next to Sting against him, Lex Luger. So, like, Lex Luger was really hot at that time. Like, he was one of the key forces against the NWO before he ultimately joined them in 1998 from the Wolfpack, and then in NWO Elite in 1999. Okay, moving on from that. They went ahead and had a match. It was pretty decent. It was probably better than the Rowdy Piper matches since they happen so often now, and whereas now this is actually a unique singles match happening on Nitro. And from the shocking perspective, I bet a lot of people were shocked when they first saw this was seeing Lex Luger defeat Hulk Hogan clean. Well, and I like how the commentators were actually invested in this match, saying how it's important for Lex Luger to win this way in order to get a quick victory out of Hogan before Macho Man, Randy Savage, before Scott Hall, before Kevin Nash interfered and cost them the match. Like this match was pretty decent. It wasn't really the greatest match. It was decent at best. A lot better than Sting versus Hogan 1, though that could also be because there was a super hot crowd involved, and they didn't like the crowd in Starcade wasn't really hot on fire for this year-long build, and I get the feeling they should have went for a bigger arena, a bigger venue to do this match, since everyone would pay to see that match finally happen. But for some reason they just went with a standard small arena. I'm still wondering that to this day. um, so like anyways, Luger and Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, traded a couple of blows. Like there was a steel chair shot apparently during the commercial break, and like WCW, the referees always tend to release some limitations on the rules since they allowed chair shots and whatnot even in a normal regular matchup and not a no DQ matchup because they want an official winner. So they're gonna let the heels get away with it a little bit. So like I thought like okay, like that doesn't really bother me. Like I'm all for those kind of matches. So Luger and Hogan, like Luger was extremely hot and Hogan was extremely hot. Well, Luger was the second most extremely hot running superstar since Sting was still doing the vow of silence. Um, So it was a rare clean victory for a superstar to beat Hogan, and I was generally surprised. Like, wow, they really went with that. They didn't do a single excuse like John Cena likes to do nowadays, or like Hogan used to do a lot, where he comes up with an excuse why he lost. So like when I saw this match, I was shocked that they went with that direction, and I was wondering, oh, well, what are they gonna do now? Or like they kind of deflated the build up to Sting versus Hogan a bit, since well, they built this match up for a year, and it kind of deflates it a bit since Luger won the title, and therefore the celebration there seemed much more grandiose with Sting, but the energy from the crowd and the energy from the wrestlers when they celebrate was much bigger in my opinion for Luger when he won. And everyone was thinking like, well, this is the end of Hollywood Hulk Hogan's reign at the top. Now, oh boy, never mind. He won the title 6 days later at Road Wild, and I'm like, then what was the point of that? Like, did Hogan just say, give the belt to him, then afterwards I take it back? So, like, I was, like, pissed off a bit when I read that. Like, you got Lex Luger, who's the second hottest superstar in WCW, finally wins the big gold belt. I mean, like, he's won it before, but this was a much bigger deal since this was part of the hottest angle that was going on today at that time. And it ended in 6 days. And even more so, this was a pay-per-view quality matchup, and they showed it on free TV, and then they would do a rematch, and that kind of deflates it a bit. So, anyway, so that's how the Luger and Hulk Hogan match happened. I don't know what the backstage politics was at the time. Like, I rarely get sources from that. I haven't found a single source with that. But I did feel like I know I'm going to shoot myself in the foot for saying this, but Hulk Hogan should have won that match or at least got DQ loss because, well, when you look at it long term, like, Sting and Hogan was the obvious big payoff. And Luger winning it only to lose it 6 days later kind of deflates it a lot. Like, that energy just isn't there as much as it could have been when you saw Luger win the belt. So I get the feeling like they should have like either saved it for pay-per-view and let Luger run with the belt, or Sting, or they never did the match and Sting wins the match. Sting ultimately would win it at Starrcade, and then that the energy would have been much bigger. Like, a lot of matches when it involves Hollywood Hogan, like, I get the feeling with the crowd reaction, like, you're not going to see the greatest match in the world, but the presence of what you're seeing is causing you to go hyped up for it. Hyped up to see it, and that adds to the match. And Sting and Hogan, they kind of did not have that, whereas Lex Luger did it with Hogan, The Rock did it with Hogan, Shawn Michaels did it with Hogan. So, like those matches, while they weren't the greatest matches in the world, they had a big fiery build from the crowd. Whereas Sting and Hogan, it wasn't really that big as I hoped it would. So those are my thoughts on Lex Luger versus Hogan, and also last note that this would be the last time Lex Luger would ever win the world title. Sad. That would be his last big moment in WCW. Like, he did he collected some other championships and got involved in some storylines, but ultimately that would be the last time he had a major role in a major storyline that would impact the company. So those are my thoughts on Luger versus Hogan. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.